So I mentioned this on your stream yesterday, Alita, but there were a number of folks that reached out to me primarily through my video game contacts and said, what can you talk to about this, right? Because Twitch is primarily a video gaming platform. And can you speak to this? And the funny part was they asked me for this interview based on other context. And I said, can I speak to the nature of streaming the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial? Yeah.
Got a lot of experience with that.
Well, I actually offered to this. I said, just so you know, I'm probably too close to this to, strictly speaking, be a neutral source. So if you don't want me for that, that's fine. They said, no, that's better. Okay, great. Let's talk about it then. And so I gave quotes to Kotaku. Always hates loading. Kotaku, which, if you're not familiar with them, is a video game kind of news-based blog thing, and they put their money right there on the table. Top Twitch streamers capitalizing on Depp versus Heard trial trauma. So which way this is directed to go.
Yep.
And they talk about some of the similar things to the Washington Post. But ultimately, we do get a few acknowledgments. There are elements of humor to the case, I think is a good acknowledgement here, even if they're trying to talk about why they might not like it. And they talk about streamers that attract folks to watch the trial with them. It risks becoming one big watch party full of laughs and memes at trauma's expense. So this is the framework that they give when they ask me to talk about it. And I guess I'm just advertising on my own channel for my channel now. This is what I said, and I feel strongly about this, really. Richard Hoeg, me, you don't need all this. Almost everyone knows Johnny Depp either from his more avant-garde work or from his late career Disney Renaissance. Hoeg said, who's been streaming the trial himself with fellow YouTubers like California-based attorney Alita. I don't actually know how to pronounce your last name, Alita.
Majeka.
Of Legal Bites as part of a collective. I love it. Have we ever referred to ourselves as a collective?
I guess. I mean, that is, it's not inaccurate.
We're a loosely organized group of independent nations.
A ragtag group of random lawyers on the internet who like to talk in electronic boxes.
Known as LawTube. Every time I give a quote that uses LawTube, I think of Nick saying, God damn it. From there, the actual details involved are themselves more salacious than normal. Some people in the comments call me on that. It's like, oh, there's a lot of domestic cases that are this bad. I was like, maybe? I don't know. There's blood on the walls and writing here, people. Even for a case of this type with cocaine, MDMA, alcohol, severed fingers, bloody writing on walls, hours upon hours of audio clips, and 2 mutually exclusive descriptions of the world. And what I care about here is, while I think there's always a fear that people covering a news story could be doing it in a way that reduces the level of good information out there rather than improves upon it, that's why Virtual Legality and Legal Bites work so hard to inform from the position of legal expertise as well as to entertain. And I also think there's a risk from some quarters in terms of decorum. This is a real case with very serious allegations by both sides. And there can be a tendency by some to treat it more like a soap opera or sporting event than a legal trial. I think you might have seen me do this at some points, either in your streams or in the earlier streams that you might have seen me participate in here with LawTube. I do have a tendency to try to back people off a little bit from full-on sports commentating. What are your thoughts on that aspect of streaming a trial like this one? Super serious stuff. Trauma is involved, but you're running the ship. You're running a channel like this. How do you balance that?
I mean, being in the practice of using devil's advocacy for all of us, I think really helps to kind of back you off the ledge a little bit, because it is pretty easy to get carried away with it, right? I mean, it was like during the Rittenhouse trial, I remember there were comments from people saying, "Oh my God, this is so great. I feel like I'm watching like a UFC fight commentary," and it wasn't meant in a derogatory way. In fact, it was meant in a very positive kind of way, because it makes this very exciting for a lot of people, where, if you just watch the normal law and crime court TV version of it, you may not really understand what's going on. You may not understand the real drama that's happening in front of you, that's kind of unfolding. And so having that kind of commentary can really help with that. And of course, having lawyers get excited over an objection can really help with that. But at the same time, I do understand that, you want to try to, as much as we can get very excited about various things, we do try at least to kind of keep it within the realm of what should be professionally, I guess, responsible in one way or another, without turning it into something that is cheap entertainment. But there is a lot of drama involved in it, and there is a lot of excitement, just coming out of this trial, that I think oftentimes just naturally gets captured just by having some folks that understand what to look for and talking about it and kind of translating it for people.
Yeah, you get invested in it, don't you? I
We
mean,
do.
if
We do.
you're in it for 4 straight weeks, I mean, you, Alita, you got to be basically going to sleep, waking up, and doing it again for like the length of this thing.
Basically.
It's easy to get invested in it. I think I think your best point there is it's not quite as easy to see when a goal is scored or when somebody hits somebody else in a UFC match. And so, I think that the clips that started this out really where it's like, oh, that means everything for the particular case. And so that's why Alita's making that face. And you can actually, that's a big deal. And then you go from there and say, why is it a big deal? And that's the educational component of that at the same time. That's why I think this works so much. But yeah, I mean, you can probably tell I'm a more traditionalist than some of the members of LawTube. So I'm chilling out when somebody goes on a riff of some kind, and that's, to me, that's one of the best parts of LawTube is that we are not remotely the same.
Right.
And
we've got a lot of diverse voices in
we
LawTube.
do. We really, really do.
So that's why it's really, really interesting when you start to see all of us agree on something.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, because we often don't. We often have disagreements, and you've seen those on throughout this live stream. Starting from the beginning.
Nate is more than happy to call me out, and I'm thankful for it.
No, but I mean, but we all do that for one another, and sometimes I've given my thoughts on something and then been like, actually, maybe so and so is right. Like all of us had our thoughts on Mr. Dennison's cross-examination of Dr. Hughes. And we were like, oh, this is terrible. This is the worst thing. This is awful, god awful. How did we get here? And then Emily D. Baker comes on and she says, actually, I thought it was pretty good. We're like, wait,
fun.
what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Tell us.
Emily's always dragging me back to earth. Emily's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's just, but it's for me, it's actually it's more fascinating to get a completely contradictory take like that, because it makes me re-examine, like, okay, what am I missing here? Like, what can I re-examine here for next time? And it's great. It's great. I love it.
How we grow, reason, disagreement, how we grow. I love every bit of that. That's why it's so fun, right? It's hours and hours and hours and hours of this. There's 3-hour depositions about watching surveillance videos in buildings. It's not always Amber Heard Day, folks. And it's still intelligent and interesting. It's such a fun thing to do. If that sounds interesting to you, and you're just not even interested in Depp and versus Heard at like a foundational level, I think you're still going to enjoy it if you go and check it out. Legal Bites and Alita's channel, liking and subscribing. Now I can't. She links it as it goes. I have so many things open. I'm worried that I will accidentally end the broadcast or something like that. So I will try to figure out that piece of it, and I'll just ping Alita for like, what are the 600 buttons I didn't realize you were hitting behind the scenes? But do go check it out. Such fantastic stuff. And yeah, that's what this is about, right? Because I finish this off and I say, with that risk, right? Misinformation, lack of decorum, whatever that might even rub me the wrong way. Not just one of these article writers, comes opportunity. It's not just opportunity for super chats. Thank you guys. You guys are generous and awesome. It's opportunity to have more voices out there saying more things, unfiltered, hopefully educating and informing. And I'm just never going to be against more people being interested in something and hopefully getting more information out of it, even if it's not necessarily getting that. Someday they might find LawTube. Someday they might come over here, and that's just really great. I don't mean to wax philosophic on this stuff, but it is important to me.
No, it absolutely is important, and I think that is going to be probably one of the best things about the ultimate growth of LawTube is going to be the ability for people to access commentary from lawyers on these kinds of things, so that people can understand for themselves in a way that they don't have to trust a 2-second headline from a publication that is intended just to attract attention. You know what I mean? Like it's the internet is a place where trust is very hard to find. And so if we can find a way to build up that trust from people so that they can understand what they're getting from us when we give our commentary on stuff, I think that has a potential to be very powerful in a time where, like I said, a headline it can be so misleading. An entire article for that matter, you know?
Yeah, I'm constantly asking for primary source material when I read things, right? People summarizing legal documents or SEC filings, or I'm mostly doing business and video game and transactional stuff. And I really honestly just want to help. I give quotes for free. I do it to a bunch of different outlets. I just want to be like, just don't write that headline. I'm not charging you. Just let me say, oh, actually, that SEC filing has nothing to do with what you were about to report on for 3,000 words. Okay, let me do it before I make the virtual legality, and then you don't like me. Okay, that's not my goal. I want to have better information out there. So